That's interesting. Oh, we learned.
Sure, we'll see how we're doing here. We are doing this on the fly, learning as we go. So I don't know if we're live.
Well, I did say it's gone live stream, so.
Okay. Looks like we might be live here. So hello and welcome to Heart-repreneur TV. I am your co-host, Velma Gallant. Super excited to be here, trying new things, having to learn, because this is not my normal way of sharing this with you. I have a special guest with us today, and you know him very well. He hangs out here in the Heart-repreneurs Facebook group a lot, so I'm sure most of you know who he is. Ken Attard has been successfully working with various clients over a span of 17 years. Now he specializes as a mindset consultant, working with entrepreneurs, helping them to elevate their clarity using his proprietary Cruising to Clarity program. They are able to have financial freedom guaranteed. 20 years plus as an entrepreneur, a father, and a human being like the rest of us. I'm not so sure. I'm not sure I'm one of those. He now understands that business and life don't have to be a continuous struggle and suffering, but shifting the way you think will take you to a place that can be easy and fun. Welcome to the show, Ken.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here as always, Velma. Really, really excited to be here. And you know what? You're not trying to do new things. You actually are doing new things.
I am doing new things. I am. And like I said,
because if you were trying to do new things, you would be like next to the button, attempting to press the button. But no, but you're actually doing it. Which, interestingly enough, a lot of people are not willing to do.
Right. Well, I know I was quite anxious about this, and I think this really can tie a lot to, you know, what you talk about and how you work with people regarding cruising to clarity. I mean, this was an opportunity for me to learn another way to do things, because in life there is never just one way to do things. We'd like it to be that way. It'd be easy if it was only one way. But I think at the same time, it would get super boring. So as much as I love using StreamYard and I found it simple and there was lots of fun ways that I could play with it, it is good for me to learn more and better ways, well, not necessarily better, but more and different ways to do things and get clear on the possibilities.
And that's absolutely true. It's really cool what we're talking about today, because you're right on point in the sense that so you'll be a bit anxious today. For instance, today you were a bit anxious. I mean, it's just because it was something different, and you really weren't certain or weren't clear as to, you know, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? Right now, the cool thing is, though, like, you actually took the steps to get as much clarity as you could to say, okay, these are the steps I need to take to make this work. Okay, and that will automatically start to dissipate some of that anxiousness or that anxiety, if you want to say. Yet now, after experiencing it and saying, okay, and going back and saying, okay, this worked or this didn't work, you're actually going to have more clarity after that, so that you can continue to do the same because it did work. Or if it didn't work, then you could say, okay, this didn't work. Let me go back and see what I can do differently and create more clarity so that it actually does work. So this is a really, really important point to understand, is that, you know, the cool thing about creating clarity in whatever you're doing is it actually dissipates doubt. Notice how doubt is there when, you know, even for yourself today, for instance, with going live here, there's a bit of doubt because you just don't have that clarity. Whereas, for instance, when you were used to using, for instance, StreamYard, you know, you just knew that, okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. I know that I've used this a number of times and it's worked. So I'm really clear on it. I have no doubts that it's going to work.
Well,
so
and there was a lot of fun with StreamYard too. And each time I used it, I would get more clear on what the possibilities are, and I'd start playing with things and
That's it, right? And
that,
just
which
creating
is
new experiences. Yeah, just
it,
playing.
exactly. And as I was starting to have challenges, because sometimes that happens, and it's a momentary challenge, right? Because
Right?
I'm working with the tech group, trying to figure it out and testing and all of that kind of stuff, gaining more clarity. Can I figure this out? Which
Yep.
at that time didn't work. That's not to say that it's not going to shift in the future. Again, I can use StreamYard for Heart-repreneur TV. Don't know,
Yep.
doesn't matter. I have another way of being able to do this, so we'll just run with it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Flexibility is a really great thing, right?
right. And the other thing that I really want to point out that I think is super valuable is I had people around me to support me with gaining clarity.
That's it, right? And that's actually a really valid point, and it's key. I really believe the way I look at things nowadays is that I really believe that, if you really want to make it a little bit easier for yourself, you're more than likely going to want to have someone that can guide you and help you. For the simple reason that they may have gone through the experiences that some experiences that you haven't gone through.
Mhm.
Same thing, like you are going to have some experiences that other people have not gone through, and you're going to be able to help them and be able to guide them simply because it's actually going to save a lot of time on the learning curve. And if you and I think that what is important that you mentioned as well is that you have, sometimes I think people reach out to people that maybe they're not certain whether or not they have that, let's say, that genuinity that they actually do want to help them. I think that's really important for us to recognize that those people we're reaching out to have the same values that are aligned with our values as well, so that we're really reaching out to people who care, who really want us to, who really want to share the experiences that they've had for your well-being. So that's really important, and reaching out and asking for help, and being vulnerable enough to actually reach out and ask for help, and say, I need some help here. There are tons of people who are more than willing. It's amazing. You will find that there are a lot of people who are more than willing to help, more than willing to help. All you got to do is ask. All you got to do is ask.
That's right. That's right. And I think that's where it's so important to have a community around us. And like you said, there's values alignment and there's knowledge alignment, right? Because I didn't just reach out to anyone. I actually ended up reaching out to someone who'd used this exact same tool the day before at an event that I had participated in. So I reached out and said, I have to do this. Can you point me in the right direction? Right?
Absolutely.
So that points to, if you're going to get the support, make sure you're asking and connecting to the right people. So you've been in the entrepreneur world for quite some time, because you're old like me. Okay, I'm just going to say it. You're old like me.
Old? Oh, what old? What's old? What is old? Clarify that for me. I'm leaving that part foggy still.
Well, I didn't say mature. I did not say mature. And case in point, the image that we used to share this show.
I wonder, is that maturity or not?
That's a good question. Because what's normal?
I wonder if that is. I don't. Again, I'm saying this in the most humble way, because I don't want to say like in any way say, what. I think if I were to tie that in with maturity or that is that being willing to have that photo there, which I know brings a lot of joy to a lot of people, believe it or not, but being willing to be able to share that and being willing not to worry about it or what, in the entrepreneurial world, in the business world, that could be potentially frowned upon. Oh, this guy isn't serious enough. He's not serious enough about his business. which now people will associate to, okay, does this guy actually have enough knowledge about what he's talking about? So in one essence, it is like maturity in the sense of, you know what, I'm good with it. It's okay. People, and this is, I'm associating people with maturity with, people can think whatever they're going to think, because ultimately people are going to think whatever they're going to think anyways. So coming back to values, I might as well be who I am. I'm a bit of this goofy guy who likes to just have fun going about his day and enjoying my business and enjoying my life and tying them all together so that then other people can actually start to learn how to do the same.
It's exactly true. So we've got values. So when you're looking for somebody to have in your court as you're expanding your business, we want values alignment. We want character alignment, authenticity alignment. And in values alignment alone, I mean, what I get out of the playfulness of you being willing for me to use that image is fun, right? Fun can be a value.
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely is a value. I was actually just going through some of my values this week and listing some of my values, which is a really interesting exercise. And fun is right in there, right? For me, it's important. It is absolutely important for me to go through this life as much as possible, having joyful moments. So that includes having fun. And I do my utmost to laugh every single day. Does it work out every day that I laugh every single day? For the most part, at one thing or another, even when crap comes up sometimes. And I like to say this, I like to say to people a lot, in fact, a lot of videos that I finish, whether it's within my programs or whatever it is, a lot of times I finish with, listen, remember, this life is way too short to take things, too seriously all the time, like, just too serious. It's way too short not to have that fun. It's way too short not to laugh a lot more, especially when you can laugh at yourself. Because sometimes I catch myself just laughing at myself doing stuff and I go like, okay, that just happened. I wasn't expecting that outcome. What did I do there? Right? Like, how did I bring this on somehow or whatever? And I laugh at it and I say, okay, what can I learn from this? And I think as we go along, in life and we start to realize that, taking things so seriously, I really don't believe serves anybody. And it doesn't serve anybody going through your life. It doesn't serve anybody even in your business. When you can bring to the table some fun in your business, then, I think that makes a heck of a difference for anybody who's going through the entrepreneurial process. It just makes a huge difference, right? And it's just a shift. It really is a shift in what people have, and I'll use entrepreneurs because I do work with a lot of entrepreneurs, what entrepreneurs have learned, what they have been ingrained with is this thing that, entrepreneurs have to go through their business struggling, suffering, sacrificing, and being stressed out. Whereas that is just a learned behavior, really. That's just something that someone has taught you and has ingrained in you, and you've started to believe that. And if that is a belief of yours, that is exactly the way it's going to be. That's one of the things that I love most about working with entrepreneurs, saying, listen, how can we, you can start to shift this. You can start to shift this immediately just by shifting some of those beliefs. And I believe clarity comes into that a lot as well. And that is one of the reasons I got into and created this program, Cruising to Clarity, is just essentially, I think that basically what happened is I, at the beginning of this year, I began doing a lot of breakthrough sessions and sitting down with individuals. And one thing that was a commonality in so many of these breakthrough sessions was that these individuals just felt that things weren't clear for them.
Mhm.
They had ideas, they had, but yet things just weren't clear for them. And in some cases, they just didn't know how to create that clarity. And I just saw this common thread through so many of these individuals. I said, this is something that entrepreneurs need. This is something that a lot of individuals need. And I said, okay, what could I do? And this is where the Cruising to Clarity program came into, let's say, into its birth, basically.
Well, and I think there's a lot of value in paying attention to how clear are you? How clear are you about where you're at? How clear are you about where you're going? How clear are you about the path to get there? Right. And I love the cruising aspect of it. I go straight to cars for that. My car, doesn't matter what car I have, my car always thinks it's a Corvette. So I like that cruising kind of vision.
Cool.
Because I live my life like that.
Yeah.
And I love the fun aspect of the idea of cruising. Like I'm like top down, hair blowing in the wind, right? And that's how I want to be in my life and my business. Top down, hair blowing in the wind, heading in a beautiful direction, having a lot of fun. Like it's amazing.
That's cool. Like, and that's why I use cruising, simply because I'm all about things being as easy as possible, as effortless as possible. Now, does that mean that you're not going to be putting in your effort? Absolutely. There's always that. Yet I love keeping things as simple as possible. So I agree with you. Cruising, but that's the cool thing about that language, right? Cruising is like people are going to have their own idea of what cruising is, right? Mm-hmm. So for you, you've got the picture of the Corvette, you driving in the Corvette. Other people will go to cruise ships, and enjoying that. Other people will, whatever it is, people could just be going, I don't know, cruising on their skateboard for all I know. I don't know, or on the, whatever it is. So for me, it is all about, it is very much about going through a process. And the way I've set it up as well is that I really want people to enjoy the process of going through it. Mm-hmm. So many people, are want to learn, yet their idea of learning from their past is not something that is fun, and it's not something that is cruising, is something that is enjoyable, is looking forward to. Many people have this perception, and again, I'm not taking it away from them. I can understand where that perceptions come from. I mean, when we go through the normal, let's say, education system and so on and so forth, a lot of times there was a lot of pressure there. And the way I've set this up with Cruising to Clarity is I've done it in a way that you can go through the program at the pace that you want to go through.
See, now sticking with my analogy, because it's fun. I've heard a lot of things there. One, I get to choose the speed limit. Am I going, I'm going to use kilometers, I'm Canadian, 30 kilometers an hour, like a school zone?
I'm in Europe, so we use kilometers for sure.
50 kilometers an hour for regular inside the city, 110 out on the highway. Like what are we going to choose for our speed? And the other thing that I like is when you were referring to gaining clarity on our past, I went straight to the rear view mirror, right? The rear view mirror is up and above and small above the windshield that we're looking out forward through. So it's a tool. It's not where, like, how well do you drive if your face is right up there against your little rear view mirror?
Absolutely impossible. And this is crucial in the sense that, and I'm all about moving forward. Like, mm-hmm. I'm all about moving forward. Everybody has, I could be in a room full of, I don't know, I could be in a room of 500 people. If I went to each and every individual every individual has their story.
Yes.
And some of those stories will blow you away. Some of those stories, you know, you would say, I've listened to stories where I go, man, I don't know if I could go through that. I don't
Right.
know if I could go through that. But evidently that person needed to go through that, or they're going through it for whatever reasons, whatever lessons they're learning in their life. And the thing is this, though, it's not just like that small rear view mirror. It's not getting lost in your story. Okay. And this actually ties in nicely with so basically cruising to clarity is made up of 8 building blocks.
Okay.
And the first building block is actually accessing your true freedom. And it ties in nicely with what we're talking about. See, so many people are, you know, they've got their stories, and some people are reliving their stories over and over because they're accentuating their stories. I mean, if you wake up in the morning, you know, saying, you know, I hate my job, for instance, or, you know, I hate my life. Some people are like, I hate my life. And you are constantly saying this, reliving your story, you know, reliving a story that happened to you. You know, someone will say something, you know, because, you know, I don't know, because my mom treats my brother better, for instance. You know, it's always, you know, and how did you come to that? Well, because my mom gave my brother, you know, a bigger piece of cake when we were 7. Like, and now you're 25. You're still carrying that story with you. Like, and you're reliving it every single time you say that story. You're reiterating, you're re-engaging those neural pathways. You're reinforcing those neural pathways so that it does truly become your reality, because you keep on seeing it. Obviously, your neural pathways, you know, are going to lead you towards that. You're going to see more evidence of it. So how does this tie in with accessing your true freedom? Well, most people, including entrepreneurs, are chasing their dreams, their outcomes, their goals on the outside. Like, your true freedom lies within you. Your true freedom is being free up here, your mind. That's where your true freedom is, and learning how to access that. Learning how to access that true freedom. Because the minute you learn how to do that, and it's practice like anything else, nothing can get in your, once that becomes clear, once I understand, you know, how my mind is actually functioning, how I am creating the results, the experiences in my life, not chasing the experiences and the results. The results and the experiences are a byproduct of the way you are thinking, of your mind, of your beliefs. So learning to access that true freedom, all of a sudden, everything changes. Everything changes, because now I'm not looking at all of the experience, all the circumstances outside of me that are happening and going, oh, wow, those circumstances are happening now, so I need to react this way, or I need to act in this way. Or let me give you an example you already used. Oh, so the business world won't accept a goofy photo, so now I have to, you know, I am at the whim of the business world. No, but when you start to understand true freedom and go, you know what, wait a second. I can have an effect on the world outside of me. How can I have an effect on the world outside of me? Well, that comes from in here. And now I can go, well, you know what? I'm going to use the goofy photo, and I'm going to have an effect on the world outside me. And they can decide how they want to interact or not. And I'm going to align with those people who go, hey, that's a pretty cool photo. Or, and for those who decide, no, I definitely wouldn't go with that. That's okay too. How powerful and what true freedom is it when we can actually go, that's okay. Someone has a different perspective. That's okay. So this is a really, really strong, important, I find one of a very key building block when it comes to creating clarity, because once we're creating the clarity in here, now we're going to have an effect on everything out here. And we're not at the whim of everything that's happening out here. We're actually starting to have an effect on what's happening out here.
I really love that. So there was a lot of juicy stuff in there to unpack. Real excited about
We
it.
could go on forever.
Right. So you were talking about neural pathways, okay? And sticking with the visual that you gave me regarding cruising to clarity, that points to me on cruising the highway of the mind.
Right.
Right.
How
And
cool is that?
so which one of those paths am I taking? Am I taking the ugly road with the Halloween trees over it, or am I choosing the one, the beautiful oceanscape, or the one of the, like the beautiful green trees over the highway? Like, which highway am I choosing to drive
Yeah,
down?
and the cool thing about that as well is this, is that you have chosen certain highways, let's use that potentially, and again, not necessarily your fault, just to let you off anybody listening here, to let you off the hook. You were taught in a certain way, but some of those highways are not resourceful. Yet you've continued to go down that highway, and again, living your story. The thing is this, you have a choice to go down a different highway. Now, the cool thing is this, you go down a different highway and you go, oh, that was cool. And the next time you go down that highway again, because you preferred that highway. It made more sense. It gave you better results, gave you better experiences. And the more you go down that highway, the old highway starts to dissipate. It starts to disappear on its own. And now you've created a new experience. You have a new highway, and you just continue on. And you know what? And then there's a certain highway that's serving you for a while. And then you go, oh, there's actually another one. That's even
look,
better.
There's a Y in the road.
Yeah, that's even better. That's even better. And sometimes you can go down a highway as well. And you thought it was going to be a better one. And you realized, oh, that wasn't quite the one didn't work out exactly the way that's okay. You can come back and you can go down another highway.
Yeah.
And you just create those experiences. And as you're doing that, you're actually creating more clarity as well. Okay.
Yeah, we're mapping. This road didn't have gas stations on it. This road had this really cool shopping mall with most amazing shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And the cool thing is as well as this, and this is really important as well, which is part of actually building block 2, which is one of the keys to success, is you have to be willing to say, I'm going down right now, I'm at a place where I'm going down a highway that is unresourceful. You see, there are many out there who are not willing to do that. They're not willing to look at the fact that they're actually going down a highway that is not resourceful. Right? And you're talking about highways. You mentioned highways, really cool, because one of the scariest experiences I ever had in my life, believe it or not, I know this sounds, but I recall, and I was actually in Florida. I had a 6-year-old, my daughter was 6 years old at the time. So we're going back a little while now, and we had to go on a drive. We were going to go for a trip or whatever. It was like an hour and a half away, and we left early in the morning, and it was foggy. It was like super foggy. And I live on a small island. I'm not used to like highways. I'm driving on the other side of the road that I'm not used to. And it was foggy. I couldn't see too far in front of me. I couldn't see too far behind me. I couldn't go too fast because I was scared I was going to hit someone in front of me. I couldn't go too slow because I was scared that someone was going to hit me from behind. Right. So this was, and this only went on for only went on, but I think it was a good 3/4 of an hour. And I was like really like, I had the responsibility of the people in the car, including my 6-year-old daughter. It was like, and I've come to notice that there are many people, entrepreneurs included, who are living their lives like this. They're living their lives like this with all this fogginess. They're just not certain. Okay, am I going down this road? Am I not going down this road? I'm scared to go down here because I don't know what there is. I'm scared to slow down too much because I'm not sure what's there's, and just living their lives like this. And this is why I believe this is a real. creating this clarity is going to be like, is going to make a significant difference for anybody to be able to move forward rather than, remaining either. You never really remain where you are. Sometimes, people can either go backwards or they can go forwards. People talk about being stuck. Another story that a lot of people talk about, being stuck. I'm stuck. Some people will talk to me. Let's say, Ken, I'm feeling stuck. Well, I'll go like, one of the main reasons that you're stuck is keep saying you're stuck. You keep reinforcing that neural pathway. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. How many times are you going to say that in a day or in a week to different people and expect not to get stuck until you decide to do something differently? It's as simple as that.
Exactly. And when we're driving in that fog, how many times do we pull off on the highway? How many times do people put smoke machines around their car and still can't see?
Very true. Very true.
Right. So this was an amazing conversation. As always, I enjoy these conversations with you. They give me great visuals. And I have a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm going to be going out this evening probably and going for a drive in my car that thinks she's a Corvette.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you so much for your time and your energy. And make sure that when we're done here, make sure you head into the Facebook group and put your link down. And actually, seeing as this is going to end up on YouTube, what is the best way for the people who are out there in YouTube land to be able to connect to you?
The best way to connect to me for this particular program, in fact, is growth for the number 4 entrepreneurs.com. If they go there, they're going to get a clear idea of what it's all about. So I'll repeat that. That's growth for the number 4 entrepreneurs.com. And they can definitely they'll be able to reach out there.
Brilliant. Awesome. So thank you so much for your time today.
Absolute pleasure, Velma.
To you out there in YouTube land, in the Facebook group, thank you so much for coming and spending your time with us. I'd love to hear the value that you got out of this amazing conversation with Ken. And for those of you out there in YouTube land, come on over to Heart-repreneurs with Terry Levine on Facebook and spend some time with us. You'll be able to spend time with more heart-based business owners like Ken, like myself, like Terry Levine, and the other amazing community members that we have here. We look forward to seeing you. Thanks and have a brilliant day.